Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I have a new setup here, I've got some new lights, a new camera, so hopefully things are going to be a little bit more clear for you to look out and see. And so today I'm actually going to do a review of Colourpop's Limoncello collection. So this is the eyeshadow palette that came out. As you can see, it has beautiful lemon packaging with these little blue flowers. I just thought this was the cutest packaging ever, and so that's why I have my yellow and blue accessories on today. So I have my little pirate Betsey Johnson earrings that have the blue and bright yellow. I've got a Frankenstein scarf to keep it spooky even though it is March. And this little hair clip, other side, this hair clip I got in a discount clearance section at Ulta. So as you can already see, I have my face makeup already done. So I did, primer, moisturizer, foundation. I did use that new Catrice True Skin Hydrating Foundation still. I'm still testing that out. At this point, I'm still absolutely loving it. I have noticed that when I first put it on, it has that serum consistency, which is discussed in my last video. So it still goes on and it kind of gets like a glow to it, but if you just let it sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, then it has much more of that true skin finish. And I think that you can probably see that really well with how my face looks now. So I didn't buy the entire Limoncello collection from Colourpop. I bought a couple of items and I got enough to do a look. And one thing that I'm actually going to do differently today than I've done in the previous videos is I'm going to try out actually doing my makeup live on camera and giving you first impressions as I'm applying the makeup on my face. So hopefully that goes well. If you like this change up, you can comment below and let me know that you enjoy that. If you prefer that I do it the old way where I have my makeup completely done and then I just sit down in front of the camera and kind of hold the products up and show swatches, so on and so forth, I can do that. So I'm just kind of testing out to see what everyone seems to like better. Alright, so the first thing that I did want to show that I got from the Colourpop collection was this little brush kit. So you can see it says Colourpop down at the bottom, and it's just this really pretty yellow with little ribbon strings. This brush kit sells for $18, I believe. I think it's currently out of stock on the Colourpop website, but I did see where it has the option for you to sign up to be notified when it does come back into stock. So you just enter your email and they'll send you an email update. But the first brush that I wanted to show you is actually a brush that I already used today on my face, so it's a little bit dirty, but it's this powder brush. So again, it has the beautiful yellow packaging. The bristles themselves kind of have that ombre yellow to white. It's so soft. Really, really pretty brush. Great powder brush. And basically all I did was just lightly take some powder after I did my concealer and I kind of packed under my eyes and then very lightly just dusted around the rest of my face. But love this brush, cannot recommend the brush enough. I cannot believe they're so cheap for how soft the bristles are, and just I really can't get over how much I love the yellow packaging. So I highly recommend those. It also did come with 4 eyeshadow brushes, so hold those up. And I'm actually going to use these obviously today whenever I am. Let's see if it'll focus. Didn't focus. Well, I'll hold them up again whenever I'm actually using them in the video to put the eyeshadow on. So before I jump into the eyeshadow specifically, I do want to go ahead and pop on the blush. So there were 3 blush sticks in this collection. So this is their cream brush formula. There was a really bright kind of coral shade. There was kind of a nudish brownish shade. And then the one that I got is called Coastal Drive. There's the packaging. So it's got that really pretty limoncello with the blue and the lemons, and then on the lid it has the sticker that lets you, still figuring this out, sorry, that lets you know the shade. And again, this one is Coastal Drive. I've actually never tried a Colourpop blush stick before, so I'm kind of excited. I do really like cream blushes. Personally, but I haven't tried like the stick formula. I've got like the ones that are in like the little compacts. So again, look at the packaging here. It's that beautiful lemon yellow, and then you've got those little designs on the lid, just so pretty. So we'll pop the lid off, and this is the shade that I got. So I actually bought the darkest one, and I like a dark blush, so that's kind of why I did that, even though I'm very fair skin. That's what it looks like. kind of a reddish terracotta tint, kind of brownish, but hopefully it's going to look really nice when I put it on and kind of smooth it out. And you know, it diffuses a little bit out on my cheeks. So I actually did not grab a blush brush. So what I'm actually going to do is apply this directly from the little container onto my face with my fingers. And honestly, this is how I usually use cream blushes anyways. I'm not a big person on like dipping into the little palettes or something. So this may go on way too dark. We'll find out together. But I'm basically just going to kind of dot some here. Like that. And then I'm going to blend it out with my finger. So anytime I do this, I just kind of mix it and then I just go back and pat it back down. So very pretty. I think we could do a little bit more even. So I'm going to go back in again. Gremlin. Sorry, that's my cat. There we go, that's more how I like it. And then I have a little bit left over on my fingers, and I'm actually just going to kind of gently tap that on my nose to give a little bit of color to my nose. Okay, now we're going to obviously go in and try to make it even on the other side of the face. And it's blending out really, really nicely. I obviously just mentioned that I had powder all over my whole face. So I think that it's great when you have a cream product that's going to go on your face and not get patchy if it's a cream product, but you've already got powder on your face. So like I had obviously a liquid foundation and then went in with the powder to set that. And I definitely have used a pretty decent amount of cream products that unfortunately you put them on over powder and it either like takes the powder off or it just gets really weird and patchy. But I think, at least for me, this is looking really, really nice. So probably need to blend a little bit more. Just kind of balance it out and get it even. Alright, it's good. So overall, I really enjoy that. I think this color is really, really pretty. I think it would go with a lot of things. And for me, personally, this is definitely a color that I would actually wear like year round. So I think this would be pretty in the fall. I think this would be pretty, like I said, spring, summer, winter, any of those times. And I believe these sell for $8 on the Colourpop website. So again, there are 3 of these. I highly recommend checking them out. They are just so cute, and again, went on really easily and really pretty. Alright, so the next thing we will jump into is the beautiful, beautiful eyeshadow palette. So again, here's that packaging. On the back, it has the names of the shadows. I haven't actually opened this yet, so this is my first time looking at it. I'm so excited. I just really love blue and yellow together. It's one of my favorite color combinations. The outside of the packaging is so cute, so I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but the little lemons are textured, so you can actually, they feel like the way a real lemon would feel, which is just the cutest thing ever. And then let's open it up. Alright, so very, very pretty. It does come have the mirror, I don't want to blind you. And here are the shades. Ooh. And so, you know, there's a lot of browns and neutral colors in this, which typically I've mentioned on my channel before. I'm not really into neutrals and brown shades. Personally, it's just not really my thing, but I thought that these neutrals kind of had a more of a yellow pull to them, and that's my favorite type of neutrals. If I'm going to wear browns, I like the ones that do pull a little bit yellow. So I think that, again, this is a palette you could use for an everyday look if you're someone who likes neutrals, but it does have these pops of color that can make you have a very colorful, springy look as well. So just obviously this blue shade, the shade up here, the shimmer is a shimmery green. This pop of yellow that's like a bright mustard yellow, and then this yellow shimmery shade here. So those are going to be probably the colors that I try to focus on using today. So what I'm actually going to do and start out, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is a halo eye, and definitely play around a lot with that blue shade. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a blending brush. So I'm actually going to go into that little brush collection with these, again, pretty little yellow handles. And this is an E2. So it's just standard fluffy blending brush. Again, it's so soft. And I'm actually going to go in with this shade, let's see. I'm gonna go in with Semifredo, which I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but that's that brown right down here at the bottom. So I'm basically just gonna pop this in my crease. Even though I'm doing a halo look, I still kind of like to just map out the shape of the look that I'm going for. And instead of using eye primer, I actually have already put concealer on my lids, and then like I said, a light dusting of powder. And for me, that usually works well for any eyeshadow consistencies. So I'm actually not going to use an official eyeshadow primer. But basically, I'm just going to take that brown shade and start to buff that into my crease. And it's blending out really nicely. It was very pigmented. It does have a little bit of fallout, but not a ton of fallout in the pan. And I'm just gonna keep blending this into my crease. I really like the mirror in this palette. This is a really nice mirror. I'm pretty sure that I read online that these pan sizes are bigger than their other 12 pan eyeshadow palette pans, and they definitely look bigger from the ones that I remember from my collection. And I think the palette retails for $18. Which I think is a very fair price for the size of these pans and the amount of eyeshadow that you're getting. And again, it just has this really nice high quality packaging that I think is just so cute. Alright, so now I'm going to balance out the other eye, obviously. Sorry, I'm trying to get used for like how I need to turn so that the camera can see me when I'm applying the eyeshadow. And this really just kind of gives you some depth and some contour to your eyes whenever you go in with a shade like this. And again, it really is just blending out so beautifully, so that's awesome. So now you can kind of see I've got a little contour going on my eye, and I think it just, again, it adds a little bit more depth. So I'm going to switch from that brush, put that brush down, and then I'm actually still using the little brushes from this palette set. I'm going to go in with this little pencil brush. This one is the E21. So it's just kind of a little round, fluffy pencil brush. And I'm going to deepen up what I just did a little bit. So I'm actually going to go in, let's see, with this shade. Actually, I'm going to use the darkest shade in the palette. Just a little bit of Vespa, that brown color right there. And I'm just going to really lightly tap my brush in that, just barely tap my brush in there, and then tap off any excess, and then just kind of pop that out here and blend it. So again, I barely got any on my brush, but you can definitely see it was very pigmented. And so then I'm going to kind of go up in this sweeping motion like this, kind of blend this out, and this is a way to elongate your eye by pulling the shadows up. And I don't always do this. Sometimes I like the really rounded, like a little rainbow look. But for this look, I am gonna just kind of gently sweep that up and then make sure that's all diffused in with that other color. And so hopefully you can see a difference between the two eyes. It's not a drastic difference, but again, it gives it a little something extra. So go in, do the same thing, go onto the shade Vespa, tap it off, and then gently pop this on. So definitely it went on a little, I got a little too much on this side. So what I would do in this case, I still have a little bit on the brush. So I'm actually going to go back to this side and just kind of darken up what was over here with the excess that was on my brush. And then that sweeping kind of motion again. And then I'm going to go back over here and blend this one out. So same thing. And again, just kind of doing that sweeping up and out. Okay, so that's pretty even there. Just to make sure that I have everything as blended as I want it, I'm gonna go back in with that original brush. This is the E2, and I'm just gonna go over the whole entire eye area again. And this is just gonna make sure there are no harsh lines between the lighter shade that I put down first and this darker brown that we just popped on. Okay, now we can get to the fun bright colors that I'm most excited about. So I'm actually going to go in with, again, another brush from that little set. This is an E4, little flat packer kind of brush. And I'm going to pop into La Festa, which is the really pretty periwinkle blue shade. And again, we're going to stick with my idea of a halo eye, so I'm going to put it kind of on the outside and then also on the inner corner of my eye. So this shade looks very pigmented, so I'm going to tap the brush off again and just start putting that on the outer portion of my eye. Alright, so blend it out pretty good. I'm going to go in with a little bit more. Again, I'm going to be super careful because this is super pigmented, but it's lying down really pretty on top of the brown. I think that it is true to the color that's in the palette. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of dusting it into the middle of the eye, like diffusing it more towards the center of the eye. And then very carefully with this brush, I'm going to clean up the outer portion here. Again, kind of doing that flicking up motion. And barely, slowly, what I like to do is just go up a little bit higher each time with the brush and blend it up a little bit higher and a little bit higher until I get it to where I want it. So that's pretty good, maybe a tiny bit higher. So again, just going back in. Just gently buffing upwards and then bring it over. Alright, now going again, same brush, going back into that blue shade. Again, gonna tap off the excess. And this time I'm gonna hit the inner corner. So what's good about a brush like this is it lets you draw a pretty sharp line into your crease. So if you want this to be like a really clean look, or if you are interested in a cut crease, this type of brush kind of lets you do that. So definitely not perfect there, but you can see again, this is not even at all, but this part I've left blank. We're gonna put a shimmer there. So now I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other eye really quickly. I just cannot get over how much I love this blue shade. I definitely have other palettes with these browns. I definitely have other palettes with these yellows. And I probably have a palette that has a blue like this, but just having them together for this color story really caught my attention. And it's just something that, again, I kind of bought it for the packaging. I really like the packaging. I like the color story. And it's supposed to be, you know, inspired by the Italian coast, which just sounded so fancy, especially, you know, when we're stuck inside and can't travel. It sounded nice to have a little something to play around with that would feel vacation-y for inside. Alright, so I'm going to look at this and see if this looks even. I'll buff a little bit more here. Alright, so that looks pretty even to me. Again, I just freaking love that blue shade. Okay, so now I'm going to put a shimmer on the lid, and I'm kind of torn between if I want to do that shimmer green or that shimmer yellow, so Serenade or Capri. These two right here Both look so pretty. I think, tough call, but I think I'm gonna go in with the yellow one just because I have all this yellow clothing on today. So this one is called Serenade. And what I'm actually gonna do for this is use my finger. So it's a shimmer, so I'm just gonna swirl my finger around in it, get it on the finger, and then pop it in that middle section there. Wow, that is super, super bright. Very pretty. Alright, so I've got that down. I'm obviously going to go back and play around with that and try to clean it up a little bit, but now I want to go ahead and pop it on the other eye before I clean my finger off. And again, I just press down on the eye and just kind of pat it around. Alright, I think this eye needs a little bit more. Alright. So that shade was also just absolutely beautiful. So I'm not using obviously all 12 shades out of this palette today, but of the ones that I have used, I feel like everything has just been like 10 out of 10 great as far as pigmentation, how easily it blends, so on and so forth. So what I'm actually going to do now is go back in with that little E21, which was that little brush that we used for the dark brown shade. I'm going to clean it off a little bit with one of my color switch things to try to get as much of that brown off as I can. Again, not perfect, but pretty cleaned off there. And then I'm actually just going to kind of go in with that yellow and kind of diffuse it into the blue a little bit. Just to kind of soften the two lines together. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So at this point, when I'm looking at the eyeshadow look, it seems to me that this eye is darker with the shimmer than this eye. So I'm actually going to go back in with my finger to that yellow shimmer Serenade and just lightly go back in over this one. Like so. Clean my finger off again. I'm like I can't have my fingers be dirty when I'm trying to finish my makeup, so I always have to wipe them off. Alright, and then again, take that same little brush and just very carefully go in little motions like this to kind of blend everything out. Alright. So now, again, see a little spot here that doesn't look as even as I want it right next to the lash line, so I'm just going to pop one more time a little bit more yellow in, and I think that this should finally have it even where I want it. And one more thing that I like to do, this is probably optional for some people, but I don't like harsh lines, I like really blown out looks. So I'm going to go back in with that very first brush that we used, the E2 fluffy brush, and I'm just going to gently go over the whole thing. So like windshield wiper motions. And just kind of blending everything together. Like that. Now, the next item, actually we need to do the lower lash line. Gosh, my bad. So for the lower lash line, I'm actually going to take the last brush in the kit, which is an E6, which is just like a little angled brush. And I think I have to do, so with the halo eye, I usually like to do the same thing on the lash line that I do on top. So I'm going to go in first with that blue. And I'm just going to line the lower lash line. So starting on the edge where we already have the blue on the top lid and bringing it down. Just darken it up a little bit. And then doing the same thing here. Pop over and do the same thing on the other eye. So again, starting with this shade, going down on the bottom, and then going back into that blue one more time, and doing the inner corner. And so we left the very center on each of the two eyes blank so that we can actually go in again with that shimmer yellow color. So I'm just cleaning this blue off this little brush. And then we're gonna go back into the shimmer yellow called Serenade. And just pop that in that little spot that we left blank under the eye. All right. So that looks even to me. I am feeling like this blue is not quite buffed out the way that I want it, so I'm going back to that brush. It still has the blue powder left over from before. I'm not picking up any new blue on it. This is just the residual that's left over. And just kind of buffing that up a little bit higher. Like that. And then kind of the same for this eye. Just diffusing it a little bit more. Alright, that's more like what I had in mind. Okay. So the next thing from the collection that I got was their new formula. So this was like the new thing that they included as their brand new product that they've never had before. And that is their version of shadow sticks. So the packaging, again, same limoncello packaging, called shadow sticks. There were 4 of these that came out, and you could get them in a little set, the little set of 4 for a discounted price. I wasn't sure if I was going to love the formula or not, so I didn't want to, pay for 4 of them whenever I could just, get one and try it out. So I was really happy that they did have the option to buy them individually. The shade that I got is called Cool Breeze. And here's what it looks like. And it has, the end of it has the color, so it's a shimmery one that's kind of like a gold bright yellow. And it is a little twist up. As you can see, it's like pretty bright gold. And I'm actually just going to try to pop this in my inner corner and see how that goes. So it's going to have to go on top of that blue because I did bring that blue over pretty significantly far. Really creamy. Going on really smooth. So this actually looks almost identical to the shimmer that we use on the other part of the eye. So for our halo, just this one's going to be in stick formula, obviously. It's a little bit crumbly, but not super bad. So I'd say overall that is a good first impression on the shadow sticks for me. I would be curious to see how the mattes would perform. So this one obviously is a shimmer. They had 2 shimmers that came out, 2 mattes. There was a beautiful blue matte one that I was really tempted to buy. But again, since I just wanted to try out the formula before I bought a bunch of them, I just stuck with this one. But based on how this applied to the inner corner, I would definitely be willing to try some of the other ones in the future. And I would probably definitely go with a matte next. Alright, and now for a product not from Colourpop, still affordable, cruelty-free brand. I used this in my last video. This is the NYX Professional Makeup Vivid Bright Eyeliner in Love. And it is just a periwinkle blue, very similar to the blue, obviously, in the pan. And I'm just going to run that along my waterline on the lower lash. And if you wanted to, you could get out a gold liner and try to do that same thing that we did on the top and bottom, where you just do like blue on the outer corners and then pop gold right in the center. But for me, usually that's just too many steps, and so I just stick with one. These are super creamy, super affordable, and I would say this color matches that blue almost perfectly, which is great. Really like how that turned out. Such a pretty look for spring. And then I'm going to go in with my favorite mascara. This is Essence Lash Princess in, false lash effect. So the mint green packaging. No false lashes today. Just going to do a quick layer on the bottom and top lashes. This is my favorite mascara because it's so cheap and it works so well. I mentioned it in my last video. I wouldn't say it's super like thickening, but it makes my lashes look so long. And especially for like airy, colorful spring looks, I think that is just my favorite look. So I'm gonna see if I can show you the difference. And I think we all have one probably eye where the lashes are a little bit better or a little bit longer, and I definitely have that. So this is my bad eye, quote unquote. I don't know if you can see the difference, but in person it's really noticeable. So really quick, finishing off the other eye. I also, speaking of Ulta, I'm not sure if Ulta's gonna get this collection or not. So far I haven't seen it on the site. Most of the products, not all, but most of the products are still in stock on Colourpop's website. And so that's kind of the way that I would recommend going at this point, but it may show up on Ulta. I just don't know anything about it at this point, unfortunately. I haven't heard anything. And I can't remember if I said this or not before, but if Colourpop's out of something, they'll have an option to email you when the item comes back in stock. So the few items that I saw that were actually out of stock for this collection, I do anticipate that they're going to be back in stock because they have the option for email for an update. So I think that you still have an opportunity to get all of these things. It's just a matter of when you would actually be able to. The other thing I'm going to quickly do is put on some highlighter. So I went with this formerly Kat Von D Beauty. When I bought this, it was Kat Von D Beauty. Now it's KVD Vegan Beauty. And I'm going to use this shade. I don't know if it's called Aquamarine, but it's like a tealish blue color. So I thought that would be pretty with obviously the blue that we have on the eyes. And I'm just going to go in with this little really fluffy highlighter brush. Way too much. Gonna have to take some of that off. And then just go in on the cheekbones there. Get some more. And go in here. This is definitely one of those blinding highlighters, but those are my favorite. Just kind of taking what's ever left. Cupid's bow. My nose, between the eyes, and right above the eyebrows. It's very glittery, but I don't mind. I don't mind the glitter. I like the glitter. All right, and then let's see. So that's everything except for the very last product, obviously for the lips. So they did come out again with lip glosses, which, as I've said in I think every video, I'm not a lip gloss person, but that's okay because they're popular right now and a lot of people are lip gloss people. So there are 4 shades. I only got one. Again, I'm not a lip gloss person, so I did not see a reason to buy a bunch of them. They had super cute names. There was a clear one with gold glitter called Italian Ice. I almost got that one just because it like the name Italian Ice. I love those little Italian ices you buy at the store, so I was thinking to get that one just kind of for the nostalgia, but it was clear, completely clear. And so what I ended up doing is getting the one called Gelato, which is kind of a corally, terracotta-y mix of colors. There's also one called Biscotti, and then there was a nude, I think called Panna Cotta, but I'm not sure. But the packaging on these, again, is adorable. So they've got that same yellow lid. You see it's the Lux Gloss. And then on the back of the packaging, I don't know if you can see that, it has the little lemon design, which is so cute. So again, this shade is called Gelato. The good news about these glosses compared to the other glosses that have been out in the last couple of collections is these do actually have a tint of color. So as you can see, it's not just going on sheer, it's got that corally kind of color. So first I'm going to put just some on my bottom lip so you can see what it looks like with no lip liner, nothing under it, to get a sense of the color. But then I'm actually going to put a lipstick on and then put this on top because I prefer how that looks. So here it is on the lips. So a light wash of color. It smells really good. I can't tell if it's a lemon or not, but I don't know if I'm just imagining it because the palette in the collection is lemon, but I think that it's lemon. It smells kind of like a lemon cookie, so maybe like lemon with vanilla is kind of what I'm getting. Like I said before, just gloss, not really my vibe, so I'm going to take off what I just put on and go in with the lipstick first. So I'm actually going to go in with Wet n Wild's Cloud Paint. This is their Marshmallow Lip Mousse, and this is in the shade Marsh to My Mallow. I love these. They're soft lip creams. This is what the packaging looks like. There we go. Obviously cruelty free. I think you can pick these up at Ulta for $4.99. The brand is Wet n Wild, and I just thought that this color matched really perfectly with the gloss, so not a great swatch, but you can kind of see there's similar colors there. And oh my gosh, so this keeps happening. I have a bunch of these. You see how the component came out, so the little stopper that is supposed to like squeeze off the excess is stuck inside the lid. So we're going to carefully put it back in there, twist it all the way back down, and then carefully reopen it and see if yep, so now it's back in there. You have to be super careful with that with these. I don't know why they pop off so easily, but it can make a really, really big mess. And these have a matte finish. They're that marshmallow kind of consistency. And so they're very buildable. So you can put a couple of coats on and they'll be really dark, or you can even just put on a light coat. I'm just gonna put on one coat, two dip in for one bottom lip, dip in for the top lip, and then put the gloss on top. Definitely not a perfect application, but that's okay. Gets the job done. And normally this is not a lip color that I would pair with this eye look, but I think it still works, so that's cool. So now we'll go back into the Gelato Gloss and just go directly on top of that lipstick that I just applied. See, that's much more my speed. Really like that look. So I guess if Colourpop is going to keep coming out with these glosses, I'm just going to keep putting them over lipstick. Alright, so this is the finished look. Please let me know down below if you liked seeing me actually applying the products, or if you prefer how I'd been doing, where I apply it and then just sit down on camera with the full face done and talk about the products that I use, how I use them, and what I think about them. There were no duds out of what I got, so I would definitely recommend everything. I love the palette. I love the brush set. I would say the brush set is my #1 recommendation, just because the quality of the brushes are so great and the packaging with those yellow handles is just gorgeous. And again, that set's only $15. The lip gloss is great if you're a lip gloss person. I don't think I need any more lip glosses. But again, I'm happy that this at least had like a wash of color, so there was a little something instead of it just being like the more recent collections where it's just a bunch of glosses that have like a tint in the tube, but when you actually apply them, they just go on completely clear. And blush, I really like the blush, thought it was great. Probably could have done a better application with it, so maybe it is better to kind of go in, put it on the back of your hand with a brush, and then, you know, stipple it on. But for me, just doing it, you know, quickly on this video, I think it turned out really, really great. But yeah, if you have questions about the products that I did try, please let me know. The only product I'm kind of iffy on and still not 100% sure on are the little shadow sticks, but the one that I have did really great. I just not sure how the mattes would do, so I would need to try a matte one before I would know for sure. Alright. right, well that is everything. Thank you so much for spending time with me and hearing me talk about this collection. I hope that you enjoy it, and if you are a big fan of lemons or the color combo of blue and yellow, I think you would love everything in this collection. I highly recommend. So thank you so much and have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.